Watch the ride.
Hello! Welcome back to part 2 of stripping down this Aprilia 650 engine. I actually have a little bit more information about this engine, what went wrong with it, etc, etc. And it's interesting because maybe some of this makes sense now. Right, so this engine is from about 93, roughly. And it's done about 40,000 miles and was not looked after very well. It was never properly serviced and it sat for long times between rides apparently. And they rebuilt the carbs on it and it got it running, but apparently it was chucking a lot of oil into the airbox, which means it probably had some blow-by where the piston rings are a bit old. I don't think they look too bad. I mean, the oil ring is, you know, it's still springy, but I do wonder whether it got stuck in. But if it's getting oil in the airbox, then you can guarantee that it's getting past the rings, creating pressure in the crankcase, which is then putting air through the crankcase breather that then goes into the airbox, and that's what's blowing oil into the airbox. But I can't think it could have been too bad, because I actually can't see any scorching or sort of blow-by at all. So I don't know how the oil was getting through, but whatever, that was the case. Anyway, what we've got to do today is get the side cases off, get the clutch out, get the flywheel off. Flywheel might be an issue. And then split the case itself and get a gearbox part. And having a closer look at the bore, there is some vertical lines, but the honing marks are pretty much intact, as I said before. And they're not, you know, you can't feel these vertical lines, so it's not like it had scratches in the bore that was letting the oil through, so I don't know, that's interesting. Apologies about the banging and crashing in the background. Let's do this side. They are continuing their work. Now thankfully I don't envisage any of the engine bolts being a problem because they're Allens, they protrude, I can grab hold of them with something if need be, even cut a slot in them and get a screwdriver on it. There are multiple ways of getting these out if something goes wrong, opposed to those hidden head bolts. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you fancy supporting it. There are links in the description to do that. Any support is greatly appreciated, and I mean any support. If you don't want to do that and you just want to leave a like, I'd really appreciate that too. The thing I'm most interested in discovering is where all these metal filings came from, because I can't seem to find anything in the top end that would explain it. There's nothing missing off of the piston rings or the bore particularly. Okay, first problem, just realised this engine's hit the ground at some point and this is properly ground over. Can't get the Allen in there, so I have to try some mole grips at first. Yes! Right, so it's inside the water pump. There's the impeller, and it's full of what looks like soap. You see this? It's like soap. It's really weird. What's that, something left over by coolant? Come on. Oh my god. So I will remind you at this point again, I am stripping this engine to use it for my metalworks business. Basically I make artistic pieces out of parts of engines, hence why I'm doing this in a way that you would never do to an engine if you were planning to actually use it again. Like not keeping an order of the casing bolts, because they're all different lengths. What other horrors will we find inside? Oh. Really clean. I mean, there's nothing I can say about that. Oh, you remember I said about the cam chain tensioner had some very deep scratches in it? There we go. So you remember I pointed out that the cam chain tensioner had some very obvious and deep scoring in the face of it. Well, yeah, you know, that could happen, 40,000 miles maybe. But what got me is the fact that the thing it's pressing up against is like, I don't know if that's Delrin, it's one of these hard plastics, and it doesn't have any marks in it so much. So the only thing I can think is that the particles in the oil is what's got between here, and the rubbing is what's caused this scratching, because there's nothing on this surface and there's no reason for it to have scratched this metal that deeply. So to my mind, the oil's got to be full of bits of crap, but it doesn't seem so bad in here. I don't really get it. Why are they always backwards to what you want them to do? That worked though. Obviously this is the clutch assembly. If you want to know how a clutch on a bike works, watch my video called How Does a Motorcycle Engine Work, and in that I explain the clutch. So obviously these are just the clutch springs. These are actually what you fight against when you disengage your clutch. I don't really think about it then. Oh, it came out in one lump. Well, they do, but it's stuck to itself. But anyway, let's have a look. It's the clutch friction plates. They look fine. Doesn't appear to be a massive amount of meat left on them, but still a perfectly usable clutch, I'm sure. So let's flatten that tab washer out. Tab washers are basically soft metal washers that you bend up round a nut to stop it undoing. How am I going to undo this? I know what I'm going to do. Oh, I do hope it's here. I've just popped the clutch pack back in, and I'm hoping that it alone will have enough friction to hold this still without absolutely obliterating the piston to undo this. Yeah. It's the wonderful thing about impact guns. They don't actually put that much torque on, it's all about banging. Slight jump ahead here. This is a puller. These are designed for pulling off flywheels and things. Unfortunately, this one I can only get on two sides, but I think I've got just about enough of a bite that if I go slowly, it will pull this off. Because these are held on by friction. It's really lucky my brother's puller and impact gun was here, because I would have been really stuck otherwise. Well, I'm still pretty stuck, but there we go. Oh, that's cool. And just remove that by drilling out those studs. Interesting. Just remove these retaining circlips. I reversed my pliers. This is the tachometer or the speedo, so it tells you, you know, how fast the bike's going, which is done with a worm gear. That will be on one of the final drives somewhere, because you want that to be directly correlating to the speed after the gearbox. Now the rotational speed. There's the shaft for it. Again, plastic parts. Made in Austria in 97. Plastic ones are no use to me. Get off. Alright, I guarantee I've got to undo these flat heads. I can imagine these are going to be stupidly tight. Think about this. Now these are tight, but with a screwdriver that you can get a spanner on and a lot of downwards pressure, well, with much jiggering I got 5 of the 6 screws out, and I had to drill the last one because it just would not budge. So there is a few drill filings up this end, and we have to make sure we don't confuse anything on the inside, but can we now get these covers off? Yeah. And they are, ooh, I love these. These are the oil pumps. I think this one's too, yeah, it's dual pumps. I've shown how these work on a smaller example on my How Does a Motorcycle Engine Work video. Highly recommend seeing it because it's amazing the way that this works. A 30. Yep. Ha! I did it that time. That was doit. How do you... Oh, it's Woodruff key, that's why. This is where oil's guaranteed to pour out, even if there's a little bit left. So, cardboard down. Try and get the worst of it. There we go. Dear God, we have a lot of Allens to undo. I'm going to skip till I've done that. I've undone all of these, and in here will be the magneto. Basically the thing that helps charge the bike. These are little plastic inspection cups. Yes, plastic. I thought they were metal, but they are plastic. A lot of plastic in this engine. That's pretty normal, I think, to be fair. So this is going to be both held on because it's sealed, but also it's going to magnetically try and hold itself on. Ooh, there we go. Just realised earlier on I called the clutch side the flywheel, but it's not. It's this side that's the flywheel. It's actually behind here. I was about to say, that's going to be hard to undo. That was a little bit loose, wasn't it? That just lifts off. That's quite cool. However, it's magnetic, so it's going to be just super annoying. Imagine, I should sell this. I should make it into like a bowl that's like, yeah, keep your keys in it. And keys anywhere near it. I mean, literally. I suppose you'd never lose them. You could make a wall one. Chuck your keys in it, although then you've magnetised all your keys. And, yeah, that's not such a good idea. Basically, a Woodruff key is a shaped piece of metal. It can be square. Can it be square? You get squares. I still think it classes as Woodruff, and basically it fits in and it causes a friction, and also gives it an indexing point. So the thing that was on top had this in between, and it means that they're actually indexed together. But it also, because this is tapered and it's forced on, it gives you lots of contact around there, so it's very secure. Make your mind up, be annoying or don't. Hang on a minute, hang on. Let's take this one off. Ooh, it's got a big washer. Should be able to then take this one out. Right, is this going to lift it out? Yay! Flywheel. I'm not seeing the metal filings and crap in the oil so much down here, any more than what I've probably introduced. Which is interesting, so maybe... I don't know. There's definitely scoring in those cams though, so it must have been just all contained in there, something in there's been wearing. Right, so what's left? That'll be the oil filter cover. I'm imagining there might be some comments of, you could have fixed that engine. Well, as we've already proved, it had problems with it, and no. So all engines come to an end at some point, and so the reason why this actually became completely redundant and they didn't bother fixing the piston rings, because it was actually cheaper to buy an entire new replacement engine than it was to fix this one. And it's the same. It will be the same case now. Well, more so now because I've done some proper damage. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that's not really actually doing anything. We need to undo it anyway. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or so Allens to undo. Join me in a minute once I've undone them all. Okay, I just took a break for half an hour, so I need to download the memory cards. I found another hidden bolt, hidden right under here. So now, in theory, this should come apart, I think. He says. Again, as I've mentioned previously, the techniques I'm using here are not techniques you use on an engine you're going to use again. Like shoving this in here, you will damage the surfaces and you end up with leaks. But I don't have to worry about that, so I get to do it a lot quicker. Yes. Bits of metal and things over this side, but that was open. This side was closed off. And there didn't appear to be any. So it appears whatever was letting pieces of, oh my god, 2 seconds, letting fragments of metal off in the head was just in the head. It's good though, I need those bearings, they match. Oh god. I didn't even look at this until just now. That is a big crank. I can't wait to tidy up. I've just got tools everywhere because I'm using them. And there's one gear. There we go. So what you got here is the cam. God! That has to weigh 10 kilos on its own. Here's an interesting side note. I bought this hammer on Amazon. It's made by Silverline for $3.99, I believe. Halfords are selling the exact same one rebranded for more than £10. Halfords, you're ripping people off. So that's a roll pin. This is a roll pin if you don't know what it is. As you can see, it's an open tube and you make it bigger than the hole, but you can squeeze it down, then force it in, and then the pressure of it wanting to spring out keeps it in place. It's just a retention thing. Right, so that should release this. But what I will note about piston, I didn't notice it earlier. There is some dark markings round the middle, and the same on this side that shows there's been some bleed by. If you wonder what this weird looking thing is, this is a counterweight. Basically where you've got one piston going up and down, you need to counteract that, or it's best to reduce vibration, off-centered weight to counteract that. That little cluster of gears, surprisingly small, is the gearbox for this bike. Input shaft and output shaft, and then you've got a drum which helps select the forks that moves backwards and forwards. If you go to my video how does a motorcycle gearbox work, you'll see exactly how one of these works. This is exactly the same but just slightly different. A little simpler looking actually. But anyway, it's all going to come apart. Select the forks. Look alright. Let's undo that spring. Pull that off. It's all going to come apart quickly now. He says. There we go. The gear linkage. Wow. See, that's the drum that guides the selective forks. It's just a very cool looking little part. All sorts of things come to mind when I see that. Looks like an awesome muzzle brake off of like a rifle, but without any holes in it, so it wouldn't work. Okay, we're getting some gears now. More linkagey bits, spring, select fork. Ooh, what was that? Oh, that was to do with the oil filter. And there was some gentle persuasion. Hey! Cool little gears. Nice cool little gears. Ah, come back here. Look cool one. Yep, these are pretty cool. Needle bearings in there, they can come out. Ah, circlip retains that one on there. I'll leave that there for the minute, just in case I want to use that. The fact that that turns. You can do it. Again, that's all being retained on clips, but that's might make quite a cool base for a clock. I'm thinking about my R1 gearbox clocks now. Maybe that's what something like this could become. Don't know. I need to get these in bags to make sure they don't go rusty. And I'll also bang out these. Basically, all you do to get the bearings out in a way that shows that you really don't care. You rip the seals out. Rip the seals out. And then you get a special tool.
Man, that's not a tool. That's a damn brick.
And nope. And last one. Yeah. Okay, those bearings might actually be a bit more difficult to remove. That one's got no access from the back, so the only way you get that one out is by filling it with grease, and then you put something in that's just the right size to fill the hole, and you bang it, and the grease pressure pushes it back out. I don't have any grease to do that. That one I can't get to shift, and I think I've mulled it anyway, but I might beat it apart and get the ball bearings out of it. But that doesn't matter because it didn't actually match. I'm 99% sure now that this is a temperature sensor that senses the temperature of the oil that was in the top. Yeah, that looks like a thermostat. And there you go, that is how you strip one Aprilia or BMW, depending on who you got it from, 650 single cylinder Rotax engine, made in Austria. Destroyed in England by an idiot in a garage with gloves that fall apart. But thank you very much to Big Pezza for donating this engine. There is loads of stuff in it which is going to be very useful. So thank you very much. Don't forget to leave a like. If you want to feel like supporting this channel, please do, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye. This channel is made possible by the support of the audience. Please check out the links in the description and all the different ways you can help support the channel. Any help is greatly appreciated.